Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am back for once again being the Maxi Toys videos. And welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, being the Sega Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. So yes, last time we actually did manage to completely done with the whole story as Sonic the Hedgehog, aka myself, including my buddy along with me, Miles Tails Brower right here. And we managed to save the day thanks to that we actually managed to restore Angel Island for actually restoring a Master Emerald to Knuckles. And today for this episode, we're about to continue on and move on and just showcase off this little competition mode, which can be accessed via the title screen, but even then, unfortunately, though, I can't actually access on that particular title screen, I'm afraid, because, you know, the version I'll be using on is the Xbox Live Arcade version, because you can't actually interact with one-player game and a competition mode onto that title screen. So instead, that we're actually going to be doing with competition mode, but within a time attack formation. So, right off the bat, though, you do have 3 different playable characters to choose from, much like the entire game itself, from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. And that is the evolve of Sonic the Hedgehog, aka myself, and Miles Tails Brower, and Knuckles the Echidna. So you can choose up to 3 different characters to your disposal. But even then, though, luckily though, if you ever played Sonic 3 alone, you do realize that you're actually able to have the ability to play as Knuckles the Echidna only in the competition mode, but not the entire main story. Unless if you actually be playing through, you know, Sonic and Knuckles alone, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So yeah, right off the bat though, we actually got ourselves 5 different stages to actually explore from, which all consist of Azure Lake, Bloom Park, Chrome Gadget, Desert Palace, and Endless Mine. In fact, funny about this is that every time in the beginning sequence of this little sentences, it usually starts in off with the alphabetical order, like in Missouri, which usually stands for A, Balloon for the B, and Chrome for C, and D for Desert, and E for, well, Endless. So, and vice versa, really. So, even though that, you know, as you guys can clearly tell, I'm going to be showing these stages off, but within time attack formation. So, even though I'm afraid I can't show this off in multiplayer mode, I'm afraid. But this is how you're supposed to do in these little competition modes. You're gonna have to race between the, you're gonna have to go through the stage with 5 laps, and that's all you're really trying to do. Unless if you actually be playing this on Grand Prix mode or something like that for yourself or with your friend of yours, you're actually going to be using your items and whatnot, which can be consist of, if I've heard correctly, there is a banana peel which can actually temporarily slip you up, and also the speed up shoes, which actually gives you a much more faster speed, and if you get like a black and white version of the speed sneakers, then you'll temporarily slow down. So, and yeah, once you finish all 5 of those laps, then the race is pretty much over. So that's as far as I consider by this. So yeah, that's in Azure Lake, so I'm going to be switching between those characters as much as I please to. So anyway, Bloom Park, which is perhaps one of my favorite levels in the competition mode, because of the music and also the atmospheric as well, because it does remind me of almost exactly, feels a bit similar to Carnival Night Zone, but except the fact that it does have a lot of balloons, although it does tend to have balloons also from the Carnival Night Zone, but it only has just 2 of them, and also these little elephants trying to shift these little hole right there so you can actually win through it. So yeah, we need to talk about Tails briefly for a moment. Well, actually, I might save him up until we actually get into the next video, because obviously we'll talk more into that details until we get to later. But for now, we have to go through these little oh yeah, you can actually fly from that point right there if you in case you want to skip it. And even then, that's the best recommendation if you're having a lot of trouble with trying to time your jumps right until you actually just hop onto the balloons and whatnot. So pretty best recommendable for those little situations. So anyways, that's Bloom Park, and now we move on into Chrome Gadget. So I believe Chrome Gadget choice is going to be Knuckles the Echidna. So, and yeah, as you can tell that after when you finish the specific stage on during the time attack mode, you can actually drat. So yeah, if you manage to bypass the finish or starting line, if the countdown doesn't say go, you pretty much get a vault. So even then though, you have to redo the whole get ready thing. So think of like how it does in the actual track type of events from the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series. Like although I found out to be realized is that I don't think I managed to encounter the valve system in Rio 2016 Olympic Games, because due to the fact that you have to deal with button presses instead of, although still can be required button presses on the 3DS versions from the London 2012 to Rio 2016 and all that. But I noticed that in the London 2012 3DS, you do get disqualified if you get fouled though, so you have to be watch out for that. So anyway, enough about those topics, so let's go ahead and get on to Chrome Gadget. So yeah, there's a instant KO type of death you might actually encounter, and now see from it. Do you know this little platform right there we already saw from the beginning? If you get crushed into that, or I don't know about that, but even then, from what I've heard about this little little thing right there, I believe that actually kills you, so you're going to have to be very careful. In fact, the next stage we're going to be running to is Desert Palace, which I actually really like this stage for some reason. Whenever I usually play this on my Sonic Maker Collection on my Nintendo GameCube, whenever I first experienced with Sonic 3. So, anyway, there are some emphasis on you're going to be gonna have to mind out for, and also form of, well, in Missouri Lake that you're gonna have to watch out for. You're gonna have to do not get stand onto the water for too long, because obviously you will die. And then also I mentioned this earlier about the this little crushing platform right there, or maybe if you get hit by, or in this case you got killed by this little light thing right there on the bottom, although I may be wrong about that, but you instantly get KO'd by that. And also, if you stand onto this quicksand, you're also gonna get killed. So even then, I think of like how it does it in you know, Sandopolis Zone from you know, the actual game itself. So anyway, so even then, that I'm afraid this video might actually be the shortest video of the bunch, just because there's not a lot else to it for that. Even though I could potentially, I wish I was going to show you guys the multiplayer elements, but even then, though, I'm just showing you guys the actual stages themselves. So. And the final stage we're going to be running to is Endless Mine. So, even in that, all you do is basically just, you know, go for the entire course within 3 laps, and that's all there is to it. So, I kind of wish there was more stages from that, like alphabetical order to all 26 of these alphabetical order letters from these levels. But even then, no, it's only 5 for the time being. So, because they want to develop every single levels on the main game itself. So, sometimes I found myself just actually going a little bit too wonky with those types of physics or momentum is going on in the competition mode, unlike in the actual main quest. That the thing is, because whenever when I try to actually go up to that loop-to-loop with the curveball, sometimes it goes like a little bit of a heavy stone or something like that. But even then, seemingly that's probably just for my taste. So anyway. So yeah, you know that I mentioned this before, that I can't actually access to this particular mode in being the likes of the Sonic 3 and Knuckles combination, but all you can get access to it is being the Sonic 3 alone. So at least I managed to show you guys off from that, and even then I couldn't care less from that nonetheless. So yeah, that's all I can show you guys for the you know, the competition mode actually looks like. Even then, that is just the main premise of showing these 5 stages, but in time attack formation. There's nothing else I can probably talk about this. But even then, it's pretty short though, by the looks of those courses in particular. I think by far the longest of the bunch, it was definitely Endless Mine, because obviously you have to destroy a lot of those stones to get in your way. So I think that's still what they're going for here. So yeah, I'm guessing I have to end things off here, I'm afraid. So join me next time on Let's Play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. Here's the fact, I won't be doing the Tails playthrough, but there's a catch to this. I will actually showcase off of what Tails exclusive content for him actually offers in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And then after him, then I'll probably be sure to get started with Knuckles' playthrough of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. And then at this point in time, that playthrough should be done until at the very beginning of May, but not so much for April, because we're pretty much almost there towards the end of April. So yeah, see you guys then. Later, fellas.